Hey Curly, so today I've decided to try out Cricut's Infusible ink. Unfortunately, Cricut does not offer any guidelines on cutting with any machine besides their Cricut. So I'm going to try it out with my Scan and Cut DX by Brother. I'm going to start with test cut at pressure 1 and speed 1 with half cut on to see if it will give us a good cut. So I'm going to start that test cut. Alright, I'm going to take and see how that went. With the Infusible ink, they actually recommend you weed with your hand. Alright, so this was with cut pressure and cut speed at 1. It didn't really come up very easily, so I'm going to increase the pressure. So we're going to test again, and this time I'm going to do pressure 2, and I'm going to still leave the speed at 1. Alright, Curly, it looks like cut pressure 4 with speed 1 removed our piece. It was a little difficult to pop out, but I'm nervous if I do 5. I'm going to go through that clear backing, so I'm not going to do 5. So while my Infusible ink tested really well with the settings of 4 and 1, when I cut the actual design, it did not cut clear through all over, only in some places, and it could be just I need to replace my blade, or it could be I just need to change my settings. So I'm going to change my settings later, but I've already decided to just run in a little experiment. So as you can see, while it didn't cut through because you should see clear backing, what it did do is it did take off that top layer of ink. So in my mind, in theory, if I were to heat press this, it should still heat press exactly correctly because the ink is still missing from those spots that I don't want the ink. So that's what I'm going to try. So I have heated up my EasyPress Mini, and I have got my heat resistant tape as well as my coaster. And my coaster, I have already cleaned it off. Now what I will say is that when I check the heat settings, funny enough, while the EasyPress Mini is supposed to be compatible with the Infusible ink, it is not compatible with the coasters. So it actually recommends that you use the large EasyPress. However, I've decided that I don't want to do that. I've already in my mind decided I was using the miniature one. That's what I've already heated up. And so at this point, I'm just gonna go for it. So I put it on high heat, and I'm gonna tape it down so it doesn't move when I'm pressing it. I put it on high heat, and I took a look at the settings for the for when you are using this with a EasyPress 2, which I do have the EasyPress 2. I just don't want to use it because I literally feel like it should work with the Mini. So I'm going to be a rebel today. So that one is for a 40-second press, which is really long, at 400 degrees. So I put my EasyPress Mini on high heat, and I am going to go ahead and press it the 4 minutes. So I'm putting my heat resistant tape down to make sure it doesn't move, because I don't want my design to move around. We've already got enough problems without that moving around on us. So we are gonna just go for it. So I'm going to start pressing it, and basically I'm just gonna do what I've been doing, which is, oh, I'm supposed to put a piece of parchment paper over it, guys. Now that I am gonna actually do. So I am going to start pressing this for the 4 minutes. And so basically the method I'm going to follow, I'm going to press it and then do a little bit of moving and just continue to kind of go around my coaster with the ink. And I'm going to actually time it. So I'm going to come back once that's done so we can both look at the results together. Alright, so I have finished pressing it. What I did, since it's a smaller surface, I took and I pressed it 8 minutes all together, moving it around section by section just to make sure I hit each part. And as you can see the letters through the paper a little bit. If you like look closely, I'll get a little closer, you can see like the ink around the words that we didn't fully weed out. So I'm interested to see how that's gonna come out. So this is super duper hot, so once it cools down, I'll take the tape off and we will peel it and get a look at it together. All right, so I am back. This is still a little warm, but I am thirsty to look at it, so I am back so I can peel it. Hopefully it came out good. So I've already peeled up 2 sides of the tape, and I'm going to use that to take this off. Wow, Curlies, it actually came out. This tape is so hard to remove. That's why I pre-peeled the 2 sides of the tape, because it's super hard to get off, guys. Like, oh my goodness. This is the side that's like super hot still. Well, it's not super hot, but it's hot enough I don't really want to touch it. All right, so look at that. So actually, with the messed up letters, it still transferred really well. So if you look at the A and the N here, that was partially peeled out, but it looks like just all the rest of the letters. So actually it came out really well. Most of the ink transferred if you take a look at the paper. So I actually think that is like an infusible ink hack. Even if your letters don't cut, even if your machine doesn't cut all the way through, like if you're not using a Cricut machine with the infusible ink sheet paper setting, as long as you remove the ink won't bleed over into these spots, which is what I was a little concerned about happening, but that didn't happen. So it doesn't bleed over. As you can see, this just says Jonathan Drinks. It's for my son's bottles. But as you can see, it doesn't bleed over. It actually looks really good. And then using the Cricut Mini was no problem with making the coaster. I think that the reason they don't suggest it is because this is a small area, so you have to do it in sections. And this is a 4-minute press. So doing a 4-minute press in sections, it makes it much longer than 4 minutes to press this entire thing. But overall this looks really good, and I'm actually quite happy with the turnout. So now I can actually make my second coaster. So hopefully you guys like this video and give it a thumbs up. Maybe I'll come back with some of my infusible ink tricks and hacks and tips in a separate video, but this was just kind of a trying it out. This is my first time using the infusible ink, my first time ever pressing a coaster. So overall this was a really successful project. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing crafting day.